and come out day one and say 9/11 was an inside job and lose most of the radio stations I was on. You know what it's like to go to sleep every night knowing you work for a bunch of psychotic killers and you bastards are probably going to end up killing me one day. You know what it's like knowing you've ruined my life. You know what it's like, you sons of bitches. I'm tired of your crap. You commit evil, you're part of an evil system, and we're standing up against you. And the Republic is going to defeat you in the end. Some of us won't make it personally through this, but a lot of us are. And in the end, you are going to be brought to justice for all the kids you kidnapped for CPS, all you CPS workers, all you corrupt bureaucrats, all of you that have had your way with innocent children over and over again, who think your evil's invincible. You're not invincible, and God is going to deal with you. And you are cursed to hell.
Do you want to try to solve one of my riddles?
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, Annalene, let's solve his riddle.
Let's see if you guys can work together. You got two, half of brains anyway. Riddle me this. Unmask my identity, you have every clue. Luciferians, communists, and globalists too. You may call me these names, but never a blank. Who am I?
Hold on, we gotta talk about this.
If the riddle is very complicated, you can take a pass. I will give you one pass. And
Let me take a pass.
Okay, you will take a pass? Okay.
Ew.
Riddle me this. They love fried chicken and watermelon. It's usually Fetty that they be selling. Their fathers are known to be deserters, and calling them this word causes murders. Who are they?
Are you racist? Why are you smiling like that?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful, I almost said Monday night. It's Friday night, my dudes. It all kind of blurs together when you are a degenerate and spend most of your life online and don't have a real job. So, for you job cells out there, I hope you're getting ready to have a good weekend, of course. Every day is kind of the weekend for me. We have lots of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Some good news in the firearms world. What? Some wacky news in the firearms world, of course. The usual suspects. And what I can guarantee you, I'm going to call it now. All right. Anytime I get something too spicy, too edgy for YouTube, or just really firearms related, I'm just going to take it off of YouTube and continue the stream on Rumble. So at the end of the stream tonight, when we get through all the content stuff, we have some Rumble exclusive stuff. So the stream on YouTube will end and it will continue over on Rumble. I'll drop the link on YouTube, but we're going to just end it like 70-80% of the way through and finish up on Rumble so that we don't get struck on YouTube, because that's what happened on Wednesday night. Is my volume low? Hello? Is this thing on? No, it should be good. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But before we get to that, Richard, how's your night going?
Volume sounded good to me. My night's going significantly better than it was the last couple nights. I have been down with the flu.
That is terrible. We did have a horrible cold snap last couple days.
Yeah, between the cold snap and then I had a friend come over earlier this week, and then she told me afterwards that her daughter was sick, and she called me the next day. She's like, hey, I'm sick now too. So I was like, well, I feel fine. And then later that day, it just hit like a freight train. So
yeah. Well, I hope you're doing better tonight and having a good weekend as well. It's not going to get any warmer until next week. So nothing we can do about that. Oh my gosh, what was I just clicking on? There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, first bit of news, we're going to give you guys a quick little update on New Mexico. If you guys remember, we had a gentleman in the know, from New Mexico about a bill that was passing in the Senate and fortunately just got killed in committee because it passed, I think, 20-17 in New Mexico Senate. And it would essentially ban every semi-automatic gas-operated firearm on the market, which is like 98% of them. It's basically all of them. But gentleman emailed me back following up with me saying that it actually just died, I think, 2 days ago in committee, which is fantastic. So for New Mexico residents, you get a little bit of an extension. Right, you get a little bit of an extension on your lease on life for now. A bill that would have banned extremely dangerous weapons, citation needed, tightened dealer security stalls. Lawmakers commit to pursuing gun control in the future. I don't feel we can give up, key sponsor says. So while, yes, it may have failed for the moment, it might not have made it through for the moment, it is almost certainly going to come back around at some point in the future. If you're from the West Coast or in any of these states that have passed egregious gun control or just gun restrictions, really, on the free populace, then yeah, they're just going to keep trying over and over and over and over again until they import enough people or sneak it through in some way to make that happen. So pray for New Mexico, but for the time being, at least this year, at least this cycle, they'll be doing all right and will not have that ban. So good for them. A tiny, tiny little win there. Now, yeah, basically, right? I mean, New Mexico is not, it's like barely red. It's red in some elections, but it's, as the name implies, it caters to a certain clientele that is not the most freedom focused, I guess you could say, right?
I think it's about as red as Grimace.
Yeah, it's it barely swings one way or the other for most elections. I mean, it only passed the Senate by 3 votes and then fortunately got stalled out in committee. But yeah, 545 Power says he got a can approved in like 2 days. I'm on like day 45 for one of mine. For one of my cans that I signed for before SHOT Show. And I still don't have it yet. So that's lame. That is lame. And I have 2 cans I'm waiting on that are going on, like one's at like 40 days, the other one's at like 20 days. So I'm not having good luck. Now, speaking of not having good luck, for those of you who like to frequent firearms establishments, namely ranges, and you like to go indoors to test out your FRTs, which is very ethnic coded to go to an indoor range to try out your FRTs. However, the clientele that would usually partake in such activities is also getting taxed, which is kind of base in a way, all right? Kind of base in a way. I know some people are going to be upset by this, but I actually think that this is a good thing for the range to deter certain types of activities, especially for an indoor range. So starting today, this is from Uncoiled Range and CPL. Starting today, $25 surcharge for any forced reset trigger use on the range. If that doesn't fix the issues, we will ban them, much like all of the other ranges. Too much damage is occurring because, of course, it's a couple people ruining it for everybody else. Now, I think FRTs are super cool and the technology is awesome, and I'm glad that they're getting out to everybody. However, they're really impractical and really stupid outside of some sort of second kind of cool, fun thing for most people. And if that's what you're into, that's fine. Testing them out at an indoor range with other people, awful, right? Inconsiderate, to say the least, right? And I'm sure the types of people testing out their FRTs and causing damage to the walls, the lines, and everything else, taxing them at a higher rate does not have any sort of negative connotation with me. I think that's fine.
I don't be able to let you know that.
What's up?
I don't understand the $25 surcharge. Why wouldn't they put like a $100 deposit down or something, right? Because $25 isn't shit if you hit a target stand or a hanger.
Yeah, but that's on everybody, right? So everybody pays $25, they make more money. Whereas
are they getting that many FRTs through there?
But enough to be a problem.
One could be a problem.
Yeah. So I mean, it's whatever sort of decision that they made based upon, well, we can make more money versus a deposit, which means that we have to hold people's money, and holding people's money comes with extra, cautions, right? Because somebody's going to scream at you, well, I want my $100 back. And then somebody's going to be like, oh, you deposit $100? I don't think you deposit it's just like more of a nightmare for ranges to keep track of versus, oh, you're using an FRT, it's an extra $25. That's it.
That from now on, we will be charging a surcharge for forced reset triggers. We want to be that store where you can come have your fun and use these things. We believe in freedom first, obviously, but it's costing us a lot of money. So that was going to be a $25 charge for all forced reset triggers from now on. And next step is banning them altogether. Good morning, everyone.
And again, it's probably just a couple people that are ruining it for everybody else because somebody's going to put an FRT in one of their Glocks, go to the range, and put 6 rounds into the ceiling, right? And then the range is going to be like, never come back, and now we have hundreds of dollars in damages to fix, right? So it's probably just a couple people that are ruining it for everybody. But I don't know about you, Richard, but unless it's like 0 degrees outside and there is nowhere else to go, like an indoor range is one of the most miserable experiences you could possibly experience, especially for full auto.
So I have a little bit of experience with this because where I was at in Florida, there were no outdoor ranges around me. Well, I take that back. There was one. It was ran by the NRA. It was 1 shot per second. You couldn't even shoot standing. Members only for any other day other than Saturday or Sunday, and they were only open from 9 to noon. It was the weird. Worst range. It was awful. So I was stuck using indoor ranges for the majority of the time. And there was one that did rentals of full auto, and they allowed basically whatever in there. And there was a guy shooting a one of those Nemo Arms 300 Win Mags. Yeah, 3-chamber brake on it, and there was 6 lanes in a 75 feet bay. My fillings were rattling by the time he got done. It was miserable. It wasn't even enjoying. I left.
That is ridiculous. That is actually insane. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, indoor ranges, for the most part, especially ones that are that short for a rifle, you're literally only there to make noise. Like, there's almost no possible training value that goes on inside of an indoor range like that couldn't be done at home for free in dry fire. So it's just such a waste of time. It's like I'm getting lead poisoning and TBIs by going to this range.
And it got worse because they started doing ammo checks because people were bringing in, they were bringing in M855 and it was tearing up the backstop. So then they started putting a ban on anything steel case. If it touched a magnet and it pulled, they were tossing it out. So even like the steel case, copper jacketed lead core 223, nope, couldn't shoot it. Banned. It's like, okay. Well, I went in there one of the first times with a mag of that loaded in there, and they're like, no, we can't even let you in here now because we've got to go through all of your stuff. So they made me download every single one of my mags. It was awful. I swear I will never go back to those places.
That actually sounds miserable. Jim Eagle says, how tall is Trench Grenade? You mentioned he's actually really short. He is short. I've only seen him in context next to other people, but he is quite short. So I think he's shorter than I am. So I'd guess like 5'7", 5'8", somewhere in that range, if not a little bit shorter. But
you mean 5'4", right? Because you're 5'7". I mean 5'6".
Right. Well, however tall I am, I think I'm a little bit taller. So he's John -1, I think, is how that goes. So somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 feet, somewhere in that range is fine. All right. Well, yeah. Couple of guys with an FRT ruining it for everybody, shooting a rifle with an FRT indoors, other than, again, the fun factor, which I don't know. Shooting like real machine guns and shooting like FRTs, I don't really care all that much. It kind of loses the novelty after like 5 minutes, you know? And it's no longer fun. You're just wasting money and getting TBIs and lead poisoning inside. So, I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But it is a very ethnic coded activity.
The only machine gun that I've shot indoors that was enjoyable was a transferable MP5 SD.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Right? I mean, it's a quiet 9mm gun with, no recoil and very low pressure. So, of course, that's going to be more comfortable to shoot indoors. It's going to be fine. Jim Eagle says, so hold up, being 5'10", do I mog a lot of gun tubers? Yeah, there's a sharp divide between most gun tubers. So being 5'10" makes you taller than about 80%, but you will just be absolutely destroyed by the other 20% because they're either giants, like 6'4" plus, or they're micro men. There is no in between with gun tubers.
Yeah, what's his name? Hootie Hoo. He's like 6'5".
Are you saying I'm black? Listen, Mr. Guitard. No, but people enjoy it. That's fine. That's fine. But after a while, it's just wasting more rounds. It's fine. Now, how about a little bit of a different story, man? This is a bit of a diversion, but I'm really just killing time before we talk about Brandon Herrera and his anti-Semitic past as we wrap up our election cycle with him and hopefully mogging his opponent, even though he's not particularly tall either. But, who am I to complain? But there is a wacky story, and I don't even know how to describe this, so I'm just going to play the video.
Information about a naked man who stole an ambulance with the patient inside in Wisconsin Rapids before leading police on an 18-mile chase. That includes video from the moment that man was finally arrested.
Stop! Hands up! Hands up! Turn around! Put your hands away from me!
That suspect has been identified as Benjamin Feltz. Police say he stole an ambulance from outside of a home in Wisconsin.
Well, you could say that he got felt up by the police. But thank you, Bolly over on Ko-Fi. Appreciate that. Yeah, imagine, okay, you're in the back of an ambulance. It's basically the worst day ever, right? You're in an ambulance. Nobody wants to be in an ambulance. The paramedics are out doing their thing. Josh is out there doing his thing, right? And then all of a sudden, a naked man jumps into the driver's seat and drives away with you in the back. And maybe for a minute or two, you're like, all right, we're on our way to the hospital. Things are going well. Things are going all right. And you just hear mumblings and meth-induced mutterings from the front seat. And the driver is acting a little erratic. Where's the other guy? Why am I back here by myself? What's going on? And then you get into a police chase while in the back of a stolen ambulance. How about that?
The sounds of teeth scratching.
Yeah, just grinding, straight up grinding up there. So real for that.
Wisconsin Rapids with 2 paramedics and a patient in the back. Those paramedics.
Oh, okay. The paramedics were in the back. That's actually funny because they're like, hey, listen,
and a patient
I don't know where we're going right now. I don't know who's up there. Because do they have access to the front from the back? Surely they should. Or maybe it's a security thing that they don't. I don't know how it works. I've never been in an ambulance.
There's usually a pass through from the back to the front on most ambulances, but if it's an older model, it might not. Now, I do have one question here. You may like horse girlies unite. What is up with your feed, John?
Well, this is TikTok. I'm not even logged in.
Oh,
so this is just I click on a
it's
TikTok
just reading
link.
your search history.
This is the TikTok. I don't know what it picks up on. I think this is just the TikTok homepage stuff.
I thought maybe
it looks very
Logan's
gay
account for a second.
Yeah. No, yeah, this is Logan's account, guys. Relax. Logan's account. Jeez. Here we go.
The back, those paramedics ended up outside the ambulance, the patient still inside during this chase. It's a call Police Chief Daniel Hostins said he has never encountered before.
You hear that come over the radio, that someone has stolen an ambulance, and your first thought is, did they just say someone stole an ambulance? How does that happen?
That chase lasted nearly 40 minutes, spanning 18 miles from Wisconsin Rapids to Pittsville. Authorities now recommend.
That's so slow. That's 30 miles an hour. At least the guy wasn't driving. I mean, he was probably driving erratically, but at least he wasn't going super fast. He was just doing like 30 miles an hour the whole time. Just like having the most slow paced police chase of all time. Maybe he was being considerate to the patient in the back. He's like, you know what? I'm in a meth induced frenzy. I'm stealing the car, but I'm going to give you guys a nice ride. All right. We're just going on a little drive, a little joyride. Okay.
7 charges against Felts, including recklessly endangering safety and threatening law enforcement. As for the patient, they were not hurt during this chase and eventually did make it to the hospital. We're learning new information about a naked.
Eventually did make it. Now the gentleman who who initiated this crime, all right, is undergoing a competency hearing ordered for man charged with stealing ambulance in Wisconsin Rapids. Benjamin Felts made an initial appearance at Wood County Court Friday afternoon, where a judge found probable cause for the case to move forward and ordered a competency evaluation.
Good Friday afternoon. Thank you so much. Point man. Go 10 charges, 4 of which are felonies. They include first-degree recklessly endangering safety and taking and driving a vehicle without consent. Those charges were filed after police say Felts stole the ambulance with a patient inside and led police on a chase through Wood County. In court today, a judge found probable cause to move the case forward, but Felts' defense attorneys raised the issue of competency.
Now, this is funny because we see this come up all the time in more serious matters, usually, right? Where it's like, I'm sorry, my client's too stupid to understand he can't rape. I'm sorry, my client's not from here. He doesn't get that our culture doesn't allow for murder and assault. I'm sorry. Please, my client has a functionally retarded IQ. Like, he can't stand trial for this. Please. But in this case, maybe there is some validity here, or there's some sort of psychological condition that this man just needs help, drug addiction, whatever it might be. Still needs to serve time, though.
All right. So the court is going to order a competency evaluation and schedule a hearing. All other proceedings are stayed until that competency evaluation is before the court.
Felts' next court date will be approximately 30 to 45 days from now. If convicted, he faces up to 12 years behind bars.
12 years seems like a lot for not actually doing anything, but I mean, grand theft and a few other things in there. So, multiple felonies.
Kidnapping too, isn't it?
Well, I guess kidnapping too. Yeah, on a technicality, right? Nothing bad happened, but you are still kidnapping like three people. So, yeah, plus grand theft auto. So, maybe 12 years makes sense. The ambulance parked at 1400 block. Felts, who authorities later learned had been evading law enforcement and was doing push-ups while naked in public. All right, kind of based. Got into the. It's just mogging the public, you know, flexing on the public. Ambulance.
I'm sorry. Doing push-ups naked. That's got to be rough on the junk. Unless he's not going all the way down.
You just don't tuck properly. 2 paramedics were in the patient compartment with the patient at the time. One paramedic immediately got out of the ambulance to assess the situation in an attempt to engage Phelps. At that point, Phelps began driving away. The second paramedic attempted to prevent Phelps from moving, but was forced out of the ambulance. Oh, so it did end up with just Phelps and the patient in the back? That's awkward. The chase headed west on State Highway 73 with Wood County Sheriff, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. The criminal complaint also indicated that officers noticed signs of impairment and conducted preliminary breath tests. The test showed no blood alcohol reading. Phelps later admitted he drank about half a bottle of Fabuloso Cleaner. Oh, what? No. Richard, is this a Florida thing? Fabulosa Cleaner?
No, that's
Oh,
it's Purple Drink.
No, this is not Purple Drink. Please tell me this is not Purple Drink. Sometime during the afternoon, he told officers he didn't have any reason for drinking the cleaner and said he was not trying to harm himself. He also admitted that there may be marijuana in his system. There's got to be something else here. Where's the meth? All right. The patient who was inside the ambulance during the theft told officers they were very shaken up but unharmed. The patient's name is being withheld to protect their privacy, of course. $100,000 cash bond. That sounds about right. Well, listen, Mr. Phelps, whatever's wrong with you, I hope you get help during your very healthy jail sentence, right? I'm going to keep it real with you, dog. I don't think you're getting off on that one. Well, I mean, he was naked, so maybe he was trying to get off on that one. Colorado has a do not sell firearms registry on pace to go live by end of year. Now, this is an odd one. This is a very straight, let's bail him out $100,000. You're insane. Get that man into a psych ward right now. That man's insane. All right. Last year, Colorado legislators passed a law to create a voluntary do not sell registry in an effort to prevent gun suicides. Fabuloso is the forbidden lean. All right. Yeah, this is kind of what this reads like, right? So you can voluntarily place yourself on a do not sell list within your state so that if you're feeling suicidal and then, your worst inhibitions get the best of you and you go to a gun store to buy, I need your cheapest shotgun and one shell, sir. Your cheapest shotgun and one cell now, okay? Right now. If you wanted to do that sort of thing, and then they would pull up your name and then it would show up on a do not sell list, I guess. Now, in principle, I don't actually have anything against this because it's initiated by the individual. However, it says voluntary, right? So pass a law to create a voluntary.
Somebody else?
Well, that's what we're about to talk. That's what I'm about to lead into, right? So something like this, however, I could see expanded into you getting yourself on a do not sell list involuntarily or recommended by, let's say, instead of like a red flag law where somebody else can say, okay, Richard's about to do a mass casualty event, so go in there, get his guns now before he has any sort of trial or due process, right? But instead of that, where I just say Richard wants to buy a thing to commit a mass casualty event, and then I get him placed on a do not sell list, right, while he's going through the process. So that means that if Richard, unbeknownst to him, goes into a store in Colorado and it's like, oh, I would love to purchase this device, right? And they're like, oh, sorry, you're on a do not sell list. And it's like, excuse me, I haven't done anything yet, right? I could see a version of this in a way that is actually infringing on their rights. However, if you just want to ban yourself from buying, like, I don't have anything in principle wrong with that. I could see where that could lead to problems, but just that one thing by itself, I don't actually have some sort of principled position against, right? It's like if you put yourself on a do not gamble list or something like that, and casinos would, if you tried to get in, they kept you out as a way of like forced sobriety, right, on your part. The registry allows people to ban themselves from purchasing firearms. Colorado became the fifth state, to enact Donna's Law, named after Donna Nathan, a New Orleans woman who died from gun suicide in 2018. Nathan's death and the advocacy of her daughter, Katrina Breeze, inspired the passage of a suicide prevention legislation in Delaware, Utah, Washington. Of course, Washington has it. Virginia, and now Colorado. The law comes at a time when rising numbers of older Coloradans are dying from gun suicides, which some experts have called a hidden public health crisis. Colorado has one of the highest suicide rates in the country, and firearms, I wouldn't expect that, are the most common means of suicide in the state. More than 950 people in Colorado died in a shooting in 2023. Okay, yeah, but 80% of those were suicides. And gun suicides are very male coded. I want to say it's very heavily skewed male because, of course, men are better at everything, and guns tend to be a little bit more final than some of the female options for suicide. Breeze sees Donna's Law as a tool to save lives and destigmatize conversations about mental illness. When I started doing this work, the media essentially wouldn't even say suicide, and they definitely wouldn't say gun suicide, Breeze said. So even our ability to communicate is changing. Again, it's not... Nothing in this is necessarily wrong as of right now, but I could certainly see this being changed at some point in the future to where you could find yourself on a no-sell list. They're not banning you from buying guns. You're just on a temporary, like, protected status, right? But instead of for illegal aliens or refugees, it's your ability to buy a gun is restricted. Yeah, but I mean, I know people that have committed suicide in real life, and I know people that are on medication that has made them where they were not suicidal, made them suicidal, right? Like just absolutely warped their minds like a 180. And so I could see somebody who is of sound mind gets convinced into taking some sort of, drug concoction for maybe even a separate issue, a separate health issue, right? And then just randomly one day being like, I should end it all. And he's like, wait a second, I've never thought about this before. Why am I considering this now? What is going on? And then just for the period of time that he's on this drug, putting himself on a do not sell list in case his worst inhibitions or in some sort of drug induced MK Ultra-esque frenzy, he decides to end it all. So, I mean, I could see there being an application for something like this. Of course, the most likely option is just troons, I guess, putting themselves on a do not sell list, which is actually kind of based, right? I think maybe troons should start out on a do not sell list and then a couple other lists, and then we'll just go from there, right? Common sense bridge control. True.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Suicide's rough, especially when, it's somebody close to you. When I was in high school, one of my best friends killed himself. He shot himself in the chest with a 12-gauge slug. And I was there right after the ambulance took him out. He lived right down the street from me. And that was rough, man. But it happened so quickly that I just don't see where somebody who's, like you, if we're going through something, we're not going to stop and put our name on a list.
It seems very performative to me. Like, in effect, I could manufacture a scenario in which someone uses it in a correct way, but right, if like, listen, man, if I wanted to take myself out, I could do it, right? It'd be really easy. I don't think, if John has decided it is time to check out, I don't think anybody can stop him, right? Fortunately, okay, Mr. FBI agent watching, I'm not suicidal, all right? I am not suicidal, or whatever that retard was screaming in court. All right. Well, moving on from that heavy topic into something not quite as heavy. We got some cool new products that are shipping, finally. We have the Holosun 407 Comp, which is, of course, the cheap, big windowed red dot from Holosun, announced at SHOT Show. Apparently, shipping a lot earlier than expected, which is cool. Which is very cool. Maybe it has something to do with the tariffs getting reversed overnight, and the administration perhaps paying up to $175 billion back to corporations, even though we paid for that. Wackier things have happened. But apparently we have the new 507s, 407s, X3s. Those are coming in, shipping now, basically, and then the 407 comps as well. So I have to get my hands on those shortly. Because I am actually excited for the 407 comp, because it's basically just a cheaper version of the best competition pistol out there, or the best competition red dot out there. So I would very much like it if those things would just be available for me to purchase and put on all of my items for reduced cost. All right. Well, we put it off long enough. Let's get to the main story of the evening. And it's really just going to keep going from here about this topic. Now, this is from the Jewish Insider. All right. Relax. All right. I'm just reading an article, YouTube. Relax. Okay. All right. Listen, relax. This doesn't violate your policies on hate speech. All right. I'm telling you, it doesn't. But this is a archive of it because I have no interest in giving Jewish Insider my Gmail account. So let's see. Oh, hey, look. Our one and only VAK guy, AK Brandon Herrera. How an anti-Israel Republican with an anti-Semitic history could get elected in Texas. Will get elected in Texas. Will get elected in Texas. Fix your headline, bro. Bruh, check your headline. An unfolding scandal involving Republican representative, but he is Republican, of course. Tony Gonzalez could cost him his seat at the hands of a far-right social media influencer. I'm so insulted every time because I'm like, listen, all right, there are true far-right influencers, all right? I don't think Brandon Herrera is that. This is a smear campaign. You guys are just lying, all right? If you wanted to pick a real right-wing influencers, there's a smorgasbord of them for you to select. Brandon Herrera is not that. He might be generically conservative in a lot of ways, but I don't think he's far right by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, shoot. All right, so an unfolding scandal implicating Representative Tony Gonzalez could catapult a anti-Israel social media influence campaign with a history of anti-Semitic posts, really, to Congress in Texas' upcoming 23rd District Republican primary. Brandon Herrera, who ran against Gonzalez in 2024, came under fire from Gonzalez and Jewish and pro-Israel groups in the previous election cycle over a series of YouTube videos replete with imagery, music, and jokes about the Nazi regime and the Holocaust. He also expressed opposition to U.S. aid in Israel. Well, here's the thing. Brandon Herrera takes a look at, when you say Nazi imagery, he shoots World War II firearms that were used by the Nazis, right? And I hate to tell you this, but jokes are just that. Normies say jokes about all sorts of things. It's not that big of a deal. Everything's up on the table. If you can make jokes about cancer, you can make jokes about real things. You can make jokes about the Holocaust as well. All right? All right. Actually, shoot, do I actually have to give them this? Let me pull up the transcript because I do have somebody put the transcript in the.
Maybe later, once we're on Rumble, we'll review a song about jokes.
Maybe
The Chosen People.
All right. Well, thank you very much to the man on the Discord who just copied and pasted the whole thing, so I don't have to. All right, here we go. But Tuesday evening, corroborating a long-running rumor, the San Antonio Express News reported that Gonzalez had been having an extramarital affair with a female staffer who died by suicide last year by burning alive, right? By self-immolation, not just suicide. We'll talk about some additional suicides later on. This is going to be a suicide-heavy episode, I guess, but by burning alive, right? By burning alive.
Yeah, press X to doubt, but yeah.
The Express News. Listen, all right. I've seen people get shot to the back of the head twice and it be ruled a suicide. All right. So I'm just saying crazier things have happened. The Express News reported that the relationship was allegedly well known to staffers and cited multiple sources close to the woman, including the former colleague, and a text message she sent confirming the relationship prior to her death. Both Gonzalez and the woman were married to other people at the time of the relationship and had children. Gonzalez's campaign did not respond to requests from comment from the Jewish Insider, which is very anti-Semitic, by the way. Always respond to comment. Though he previously denied the affair. The Express News editorial board announced hours after the paper broke the story that it was withdrawing its endorsement of Gonzalez. The affair is troubling for many reasons, the editorial board wrote. First, it's an act of deception. Just adultery in general. It should not be looked upon fondly in the public eye. I think that's very based. First, it's an act of deception. Gonzalez is married and has 6 children. It's going to fit in well with the gun community. Second, this was not an equal relationship, but one involving a staffer. Okay, now you're going to be gay. You're gay. All right, listen. Women like powerful people. I don't know what to tell you. The fact that she was an underling, whatever. It's just gay, retarded nonsense. Some power dynamics BS. Third, while an attorney for Santos Alvil's husband has said he does not believe the affair played a role in the suicide by self-immolation at her home in Uvalde, it still looms over the tragedy. Herrera demanded that Gonzalez drop out of the race and resign, warning that Gonzalez clinching the Republican nomination could allow Democrats to flip the seat in November. Gonzalez not only broke House ethics rules by having an adulterous affair with a member of his congressional staff and by using taxpayer money to fund the affair, but he also broke trust with the public by insisting that the initial reporting of the affair was false, Herrera said. If he prevails in the primary and becomes our party's nominee in the general election, Democrats will seize the opportunity to flip a reliable Republican seat blue. And he's not entirely wrong about that. Democrats have an outside shot of flipping the district, which voted for President Donald Trump by 15 points in 2024 in November. It's shameful that Brandon Herrera is using a disgruntled former staffer to smear her memory and score political points, conveniently pushing this out the very day early voting started, Gonzalez responded. Well, that's just political campaigning. Hate to break it to you, but politics isn't fair, bro. And maybe just don't be a cheating whore. In a statement to the Texas Tribune, I am not going to engage in these personal smears and instead remain focused on helping President Trump secure the border and improve the lives of all Texans while being the weakest part of the problem. The late staffer's husband said in an interview on Wednesday, his first time speaking about the situation, that Gonzalez had abused his power and that his wife's mental state deteriorated after he discovered the affair and the spouses separated. He said he did not believe she was trying to kill herself, but that it was a cry for help that turned into a tragedy. He said he wants Gonzalez to face accountability and criticized the congressman for pushing, family values and Christian morals, denying the fact that he's ruined somebody's life. Man, he would fit right into the gun community, dude. You could be a super popular gun tuber. Don't worry, Gonzalez. After you're done in politics, I've got a job for you. Gonzalez narrowly beat Herrera in a head-to-head primary runoff in 2024, 51-49, a margin of less than 400 votes. Herrera has spent the last 2 years on the campaign trail gearing up for the rematch. I think he's way ahead. We're going to look at his polls in just a second, but I think Brandon is going to metaphorically make Gonzalez commit suicide in the race. Neither AIPAC. Oh wait, no. Let's see real fast. Now we want to get into the anti-Semitic stuff. Neither the AIPAC-linked United Democracy Project nor the Republican Jewish Coalition. Listen, all right. We've got AIPAC. We've got the United Democracy Project, which is also Jewish. We've got the Republican Jewish Coalition, which is of course also Jewish. We've got Jewish PACs everywhere. Okay, we're funding both sides, quite literally.
They could just call it the Republican Coalition.
Yeah. Which collectively spent $1.4 million opposing Herrera in 2024, responded to inquiries about whether they plan to be involved in the race again this year. Gonzalez maintains a significant lead over Herrera in fundraising, which is true, of course. Thank you to Jewish donors. Closing out 2025 with $2.5 million on hand to Herrera's $750,000. If neither candidate breaks 50% in the primary election, the highest vote getters will advance to a head-to-head runoff election, which probably will happen. Two other Republican candidates are former Rep. Quiso Canseco, no thank you, and veteran Keith Barton are also in the race, but both trail significantly in fundraising. Gonzalez also has the backing of Trump, because Trump picks retarded people. Despite efforts by Herrera to tie himself to the president, Trump sent a cease and desist letter to Herrera's campaign in January, demanding that he stop using Trump's image in campaign materials, which a Trump representative called misleading. That's actually kind of embarrassing, Brandon. That's actually kind of embarrassing when the president of the U.S., as you're running for Senate, is like, no, please stop. That's kind of embarrassing, but I still hope you win, but I'm just saying that's kind of embarrassing. Brandon Steinhauser, a Texas Republican strategist, noted to Jewish Insider. Now, it's funny, of course, Jewish Insider is a reference to the rag, but Jewish Insider is just everyone in politics. That the report came days into early voting period, putting the issue front and center for voters as they head to the polls. But the extent of the story's impact, he continued, will depend of how much voters are aware of it, whether they're seeing it repeatedly in conservative media, and to what extent the Herrera campaign invests in spreading the news widely, and through what channels. He also noted that the latest reporting will likely be most voters' first exposure to the story. All right, let me see here. Is that really all that they had for the anti-Semitic stuff? Ugh. So they literally just used that little blurb in the beginning for the anti-Semitic stuff. That's all they had. All they had.
People don't read past the headlines, so that's enough.
I guess.
That's all they needed.
Jeez. They didn't even have any more ammo. That's gay. Yeah. So what do they say? Anti-Israel social media influencer. That's such a disingenuous smear of him. With a history of anti-Semitic posts. What are his anti-Semitic posts? He made a series of YouTube videos replete with imagery, music, and jokes about the Nazi regime, because he shoots World War II guns. He shoots Vietnam guns. He shoots World War I guns. He shoots lots of guns. What are you talking about? And the Holocaust. Again, all jokes are illegal until litigated by Jewish attorneys. He also expressed opposition to U.S. aid to Israel, which is like 50% of the country. It's a very normal position to hold. Now, never fear. The Jewish offender, sorry, Freudian slip there. The Jewish Avenger jumped in to Brandon Herrera's defense. The Pew Pew Jew, which is a very funny name. Mr. Yehuda Remmer, the Pew Pew Jew, says, I will not stand idly by as my good friend, the AK guy, Brandon Herrera, is being dragged through the mud by a Jewish rag of a paper. All right, so he gets the pass. Why can't I get the pass? All right.
You're not wearing the hat.
I have the hat behind me still. Actually, I could put it on, curls and all.
Put the hat on.
I should have put it on for the story. Damn it. Oh, well, next time. Through the mud by a Jewish rag of paper, calling him an anti-Semite without any proof. Yeah, literally nothing. Literally nothing. And I mean, listen, all right. Here's the thing. If I was accused of being an anti-Semite and I had one of my Jewish friends be like, oh, well, I'm going to defend you, I would be like, no, don't. Don't do it. Nope. Don't virtue signal. Absolutely not. Nope. Don't even waste your time, bro. It's good. It's all good, bro. Don't worry. This will actually help me. Yes, he would vote against sending money to Israel. As he stated before, however, being America first and not sending taxpayer money to foreign governments does not make a person anti-Semitic. Well, thank you. That's a very reasonable take, Mr. Pew Pew Jew. Brandon would not send any American money to any government, not just Israel. See, but that's the thing. What if I think that other countries are more deserving of the money than Israel? What if I would give to other countries before Israel? Would that be problematic? Because I'm sure at some point the Pew Pew Jew would categorize you as anti-Semitic for having some vaguely anti-Israel, if you're like, oh, I'm not a fan of Israel's foreign policy. He's like, oh, wait, is that anti-Semitic? I don't know. I will personally vouch for Brandon as one of the most stand-up guys I know, someone who is not only a friend, but someone who has helped my brand grow since the beginning by collaborating with me on numerous projects. See, that's the thing. The Jewish rag, what is it? The Israel tie, what was the name of the article?
Jewish Insider.
Jewish Insider, that's right, of course. The Jewish Insider was making him sound based, and now you're making him sound cringe. So now you're hurting the brand, bro. Anyone who believes Jewish Insider or believes Brandon is anti-Semitic, I would beseech you to look into him more and find out the real man Brandon is. Okay. I hate to point this out because we've talked about it a lot. Brandon is not a particularly tall guy. I've met Brandon. I'm not a huge fan of his the ads he chooses to take out, right? Because I think that they're scamming, right? I think they're very subpar, to say the least. I mean, listen, all right. I have my critiques of Brandon. I've made them clear in the past. All right. I still want him to win because one, it'd be funny, and two, he would be much better than the current representative we have in Gonzalez, right? But the Pew Pew Jew must literally be 5'1".
So I think Yehuda is 5'3". I think he's 5'2" or 5'3".
Yeah, listen, short kings rise up, okay. But Brandon's not a tall guy, all right? He's frame mogging you, bro. Yeah, the hat adds 2 inches. True. Oh, I know. SDI, TAC Pack, you're taking money to scam people's GI bills, right? Like that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a garbage service, it's fine. People have really low standards with ads, and I'm sure you can pull up a lot of the YouTubers that have taken really scummy ads in the past. Whatever.
In fact, we have.
Yeah, well, we've done whole tier lists of terrible ads that they've taken out. Now, if we go to his Twitter account on here, let's see, where is it? So yeah, I mean, if you look at just the betting markets have absolutely flipped for Brandon Herrera over Tony Gonzalez, with 77 going for Brandon, 20% for Tony, and 3% for the also runs, right? He
Now
does
it
have
makes sense why the
one
Jewish
specific.
Insider wants Tony to win.
Well, they've invested a lot of money, right?
Well,
They
they're
want that-
probably betting on him on poly markets too. Think about
So I
that
mean, here,
upset.
this is Mr. Gonzalez on the left with Elon Musk right here, and here is the abuela that he cheated on his wife of his 6 children with, the mother of his 6 children, and then later she dies by suicide by self-immolation, and her husband's like, I don't think she was trying to kill herself; it was just a tragic accident. And Brandon is correct here. This is completely unacceptable behavior for anyone, let alone a sitting member of Congress. Tony must step down. Tony's not going to do that, though, because listen, Tony can't step down because Tony has taken the money, right? And because he's taken the money, he has promised to do certain things for these, political action committees, for these insiders that have ulterior motives. And because they've invested heavily, they expect to get a return on that investment. Whereas they're not investing into Brandon Herrera. And so when he gets into office, which I do believe he will, bar some extreme circumstance, it would seem that he has no incentive to help out these insider groups. Some would even say Jewish insider groups, being the name of the rag attacking him currently. All right. Self-demolation. Self-demolation. Yeah. All right. Well, but while we're on this rabbit hole, what are you saying? You're looking for some insiders? Yeah, Jewish insiders, right? That's literally the name of the newspaper, okay? Jewish Insider. It's not my fault that they chose that name. Now, talking about a few things here. Speaking of Jewish insiders, we have some silly little happenings, all right? So just a silly little post from Neil Steinberg, which funny name. I'm not sure of the etymology of that name there. But you have a man and his children here out laying his guns on the front lawn. Kind of based some pretty cool stuff in there. Quite a good collection as well. I mean, that's like, 10x the collection that I have personally. So it's kind of putting me to shame a little bit. Mogging me, frame mogging, and aura maxing me right now. But Neil Steinberg just has a quick little retort here to this picture. Why restrict child porn but not guns?
Oh, just
what?
Call yourself faggot.
What? You see firearms and you're like, we're restricting child porn but not guns? What? One of those things is not like the other, sir. Well, sir. One of those things is not like the other. When I say think of the children, I actually would ask Neil Steinberg to stop thinking about the children. All right. And Mr. Reply Guy just says they're calling it the most Jewish argument ever made. Yeah, only a lawyer would come up with something like that. Like, listen, guys, it's like child porn. We restrict child porn, but not guns. Guns actually hurt people. Child porn, on the other hand. What?
I don't
Excuse
remember
me?
the part of the Constitution that's specifically outlined for protection of explicit child images.
Yeah.
Now, I know there is something about it in the Talmud, but that's not our Constitution.
Yeah. Anyways, that's for them to argue about, not me. Now, here's another funny clip from another individual, Les Wexner, who happens to be, of Jewish descent. He also happens to be a billionaire. He also happens to be a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein. He happens to, be a close confidant. He happens to have a lot of comings and goings. Some of the comings very, very illegal. If you catch my drift there, Mr. On death's doorstep, never going to see justice, Les Wexner, who is just answering, I believe, I forget what sort of hearing he's at right now, but he's just answering questions, in a non-combative way, and that is his lawyer right next to him. And on a hot mic moment, he gets caught saying something silly to Mr. Wexner.
The lawyer?
Yeah, the lawyer.
It was just regularly done.
So, of course, he laughs right there, but he says, I will effing kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. If you go to let me pull up the full clip of it there, because he's essentially just trying to defend his time with Jeffrey Epstein, of course, and he's giving these long-winded explanations for everything. He's old man rambling, you could say. And his lawyer's not too happy with him. Please stop doing that. You don't understand how bad this makes us look.
Done personal work for the Rothschild family in France. Well, specifically, I talked to Elie de Rothschild, and so I mentioned that earlier. So he represented their whole family. So there have been a whole bunch of people. Most of them I never would have met, but I knew Elie. He would say, like, I'm providing financial advice to the founders of Google. I'm providing financial advice to Jeff Bezos.
So his handler, his Jewish lawyer there, is telling him, hey, listen, man, like, shut up. Stop talking. You're implicating the Rothschilds in all of this. Stop mentioning people's names. Stop being an idiot. And then he just kind of laughs it off, because I'm sure in a way, it's almost like they're flaunting it to you, right? That they're never going to see any sort of real justice in any way, shape, or form, that they're even in front of these hearings doing the whole show, the circus, right? The laughter. And they're like, listen, bro, just shut up. Okay. Just shut up. The attorney is, of course, Michael Levy. Interesting name. Interesting physiognomy there. Now, speaking of interesting physiognomy and just another Jewish insider, and I don't even mean that in like a negative context. I mean, he's literally inside the Trump campaign, inside the Trump administration, and he's also Jewish. Mr. Howard Lutnick. Now, this is very interesting. It should probably be the biggest news out there right now. And I feel like in a just society, these people would be arrested or like investigated at the very least. But in another world, it's sort of part of the show of power, is that they can have this guy out and about laughing at the Jeffrey Epstein files, behind Trump in every photograph, maybe behind 9/11, and also shorting the whole tariff situation, which is just a wild bit of insider trading, not before seen possible, right? Only a Semitic mind could come up with a scheme this in-depth to defraud the American populace. All right, so given the scheme he just pulled with the tariffs, what are the odds that Howard Lutnick was one of the airline short sellers on 9/11? So this is just an interesting little tie-in here. So of course, the airlines that were shorted on 9/10/2001, the day before, almost as if there was some sort of insider information or some sort of premonition, maybe a little bit of Kabbalah crystal ball going on, one could say, that would lead these very lucky investors to short airline companies the day before the biggest airline disaster of all time, right? Just little weird coincidences here, not entirely sure. But the bigger story is that Howard Lutnick, again, a member of the Trump administration, very featured on the trail and basically behind Trump in every photo that you see, Howard Lutnick promoted the tariffs while his family bought the rights to the tariff refunds for pennies on the dollars. And now they'll make out like bandits while Americans are left getting the shaft. As Jeffrey Epstein, Lutnick's neighbor for 21 years. Also, another funny thing, just funny, right, is that Jeffrey Epstein was in Unit 9 and then Howard Lutnick was in Unit 11. which is just really weird, right? It's like, I mean, yeah, whether you want to call it predictive programming, coincidence, it's just really weird, right? It's just strange. It's just really weird. It's just strange. It's just odd. Maybe they thought it was funny, right, to have Unit 9 and Unit 11. I honestly don't know. Maybe it was just weird. Maybe it was some sort of inside joke to them. It's just weird. It's just strange. All right. But as Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor for 21 years said, this is the way to make money and make a fortune in the past years selling and short the shipping futures, let the Goyim deal in the real world. So a former bond trader who amassed billions on Wall Street, Mr. Lutnick has become one of the loudest salesmen for tariffs in an administration generally unified on their benefits. He has publicly echoed the president's message that big tariffs are needed to revive the American industry. And if companies don't like them, they should build factories in the United States. So, of course, following on, Howard Lutnick's family firm bought up the rights to tariff refunds for 20 to 30 cents on the dollar after Liberation Day last year. Today, the Supreme Court struck down the tariffs. For every $100 invested, Lutnick's sons just made 3 to 5x. So I don't know how this works. I'm not financially minded like this. Yeah, I have a degree in economics. It doesn't really mean much. But the idea that you can short tariffs or bet against tariffs while actively pushing for tariffs, that you also might have a little bit of an inside track on the fact that they're not going to last very long. And now that they got struck down in the Supreme Court, and there's a possibility of the Trump administration having to pay back $175 billion in tariff revenues to the companies, not to the individuals, to the companies, and you're somehow profiting off of it, right? Like, that level of corruption, evil, scheming isn't something that even pops into a normal human's mind.
Well, that's what you get for dealing in the real world, John.
I really guess so. I really guess so. What a wacky timeline that we live on. Just a strange little time. Now, all right, before we get out of the Middle Eastern and cross over the pond to restore Britain, we do have a little bit of one more breadcrumb in the trail, all right, that we're following, the path that we're going down here, the noticing. This little thing popped across my timeline, and I was like, what are you talking about? This is a very strange article, given the subject matter. But no, the article is quite real, and this is the Israel Hayom, and this was February 21st, 2026. So, bottom of darkness, children raped in ritual ceremonies expose the horrors. Multiple women recount organized abuse, including ritual ceremonies conducted by people they knew, even close family members. After months of interviews with victims, their families, treatment professionals, and experts in Israel and abroad, a disturbing picture emerges with descriptions difficult to read. This is from Israel, of course. I'm not even going to really read this stuff. You can go find it if you want to, and you just look up literally this title here, Bottom of Darkness, but it'll go through some of the alleged happenings in the state of Israel by certain powerful individuals and the experts there. You can go ahead and check that out.
Man, makes me wonder if Anne Frank was in the attic because she knew what waited for her in the tunnels.
There's two types of Jews, right? You got the attic Jews and the tunnel Jews. But no, we also have crossing the pond for a moment. So they arrested what's-his-face, Prince Andrew, of course, while not arresting the Rothschilds or anyone actually behind, the financiers of all this.
I don't think he actually got arrested, though. I think he was just picked up for a forced interrogation because he got released.
Well, of course he got released, but I mean, he was always going to be released. I'm sure that there still are some benefits to being royal, right? So live up.
Right there.
Yeah, this photo is hilarious. The leaning back in the car as you're driving away in your Land Cruiser, Rolls Royce, or whatever it is. So you try not to get photographed and accidentally get the most iconic photograph of your entire life.
See someone looking like that.
Yeah.
Having been told that Andrew was pretty cocky about the whole thing, I think he has sort of realized the seriousness of the situation he's in. And they may use mental health issues as a way of excusing him and perhaps even getting some sort of leniency for him or avoiding a trial.
All right, so eyes are still on Andrew Windsor on February 20th, today, after British authorities arrested and later released the former prince. On his 66th birthday, which was yesterday, yesterday, the disgraced royal was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office before he was seen leaving the Aylsham police station in Aylsham, England. A photo obtained by Reuters showed him seated in the back of a vehicle as he left the station. So, yeah, I mean, you can see him here after his arrest. And again, I don't know if arrest is the correct word. Maybe it was more of just a interrogation. Maybe it was just a detaining, right? Because he technically is royalty, so I don't really know how the legal system works around there. Will somebody actually face justice for what they did? Maybe one or two high enough. And I say like high enough, like enough to get noticed and maybe satisfy some public outrage, right? They'll give you 5% or not even that, like 1% of the justice in hopes that satiates your cries for justice, right? So they'll give you Andrew, and they'll be like, all right, like, is that good? Did we do enough? Now, the Babylon Bee is not particularly funny. And, they posted this. Prince Andrew joins UK Muslim rape gang so he can keep abusing young girls. While that is, like, technically true, in sort of a sad, dark way for the UK right now, it would have been funnier if they put him in a yarmulke and said, Prince Andrew flies to Israel with no extradition treaty with the US or with the UK to escape his crimes, because that would also be ironically accurate, right? Many officials flee to Israel with no extradition treaty with the West to hide from their crimes. So rape gang or yarmulke, take your pick. Either one would have worked.
Redundant.
Yeah. Now, speaking of alleged suicides that may or may not have happened, Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of sexual abuse, has died by suicide. And this was, of course, I think early last year when this had happened. Just a little bit of odd, convenient timing about all of this. And of course, you have the brains of the op train, Ghislaine Maxwell, in the background with her smiling face, which means that she's doing evil of some sort. Which in her mind is probably trafficking young women. But yeah, these people aren't actually going to face the justice that's required of them, at least in this lifetime, right? Unless something truly magical happens, unless there's truly divine intervention, these people will not face any sort of justice. This is more of a mockery, a way to try and satiate the public by giving you little breadcrumbs of hope, the tiniest bit of justice, and hope that satisfies you. But of course, they'll never give you the real thing.
And I think that her actual cause of death was from organ failure while she was in the hospital.
Well, again, if you look up some of the strange suicides that are around the powerful families, whether it be the British royal family, whether it be Epstein or Ghislaine, whether it be the Clintons, whether it be, strange disappearances on certain golf courses, right? It all just seems to be circumstantial, and there's no real proof of anything, of course, but it just seems odd, right? If I were a betting man, if I had a little bit of that, more cynical side, I guess you could say that I would presume that untoward things had happened to these people, and I think that would be a good bet.
Walking in front of a bus or setting yourself on fire, that just seems like a really rough way to go by your own hand. In the inverse, like there was a gentleman by the name of Mark Middleton. He allegedly committed suicide in Arkansas as well. He was found hanging from a tree with an extension cord, and also had a 12-gauge shotgun blast to his chest.
Yeah.
And the farm where he was found was owned by a gentleman who bought the airline formerly known as Southern Air Transport. Also worth noting that Mark Middleton was the staffer who scheduled all of Clinton's meetings when he was in the White House.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you want to... It's like they have these handlers out in plain sight behind all these guys, right? You got the Rothschilds, the famous picture of one of the Rothschilds like poking the Prince Charles in the chest, right? As he's like leering over him. You have Howard Lutnick behind Trump and everything. You have Les Wexner's handler literally telling him that I'm going to kill you live on a hot mic, right? Many such cases, but this is the accurate description. Anybody that actually gets charged with anything is either just kind of a psyop or a what's the word? A olive branch to the public, right? It's not enough to actually make a difference. It's still going to protect the real people. If anybody does get turned over, if anybody does get charged, if anybody does actually serve time or get real justice, it'll simply because they are of no longer use.
Oh, they expect one of us in the wreckage, brother.
Sad that Luke from TFB TV had to go out that way, but you know, if you're going to go out that way, going out in a Christopher Nolan movie is probably not the worst. Yeah, just lip service, try to satiate the public. That's about all that they have to offer at this point. All right, but before, well, actually, we're going to change course here. We're going to go from, you know, the darkness of the Epstein files and, you know, Jewish insiders, of course. And we're going to change gears to maybe a little bit of hopium. Hopefully not copium, all right? Hopium with UK's Restore Party and Mr. Rupert Lowe. But before we get to that, we're going to get through some of your guys' support because you guys have been very generous. Lightspore for 5 says date night with the wife. Catch up later. Also, buy your wives flowers if you haven't lately. Always good advice. Women like little signs of affection. All right. Thank you, Subarctic Psycho on Ko-Fi. Thank you, Lightsport. Appreciate it, man. Amorite Boy for 5 says late and rainbow or gayer than the stomach bug the juice sent to take me out. But guess what, Tiny Hats? I lived. That's true. You lived, bro. You got it, dude. Let me see. I have a new one for you. How about this one?
We're gonna have to come over to your house and kill you. No two ways about it.
Thank you. Polly B for 5 says today a sad moon is on the rise. I am quite certain I donated my beloved 1/4-inch drive snap-on ratchet to a customer's pickup bed, used almost every day. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, Polly. That is rough when your favorite tool, a good tool, an expensive tool gets lost in such an unfortunate manner. But, you know, maybe in a strange way, maybe he needs it more than you do. But hey, stop super chatting for like 2 weeks, all right? You'll be able to buy it back. Thank you, Polly B. I appreciate it. I hope you're having
Polly
a good
B,
day.
send me a
Other
DM.
than that,
I've got a K&D American-made 1/4-inch drive set.
you have a TND 1/4-inch drive set?
No,
That's
K&D.
crazy. Oh, K&D.
Yeah.
Jay Lewis for 5 says pray for Restore Britain. Yeah, because they have. I always get the two confused because of course I'm not from British. You know, I'm not gay. But they have Restore, which is base, and Reform, which is gay. Thank you, Jay Lewis. Appreciate that. Doomer John for 2 says Enclave Alex Jones scared the hell out of my cat. Good. That's how you teach him what's up. Thank you, Doomer John. Band State for $2 says no suit, very lame. It's Friday. It's casual Friday. All right. I could maybe for every like $100 super chat, I take off another button. Would that make you feel better? Thank you, Band State. Chud McGill for 2 says Richard OG Gassy. You talk to Foyds?
I do. Not a lot of them, just one specific one. And
I mean, are you still technically single or are you successful?
No.
Okay.
You know my luck. It's horrible.
Fine. You are literally Eeyore.
Yeah.
You got to give him Gassy. Give him Gassy before somebody tells him to change it.
Chud, I need you to send me the OG Gassy because.
Oh, we'll just put on another Gassy while we're waiting for it. You could make yourself the terrified. Make yourself the terrified Prince Andrew. That would be funny.
Oh, actually, I think I can do that.
Amrite Boy for 2 says they tried to take Richard out too. Yeah. They're sending the bug to take out the boys. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Rubicant for 10 says interesting anecdote. NFA approvals in Tennessee are taking a lot less time than anywhere else. 1 to 6 days, according to the NFA mega thread on Reddit. Yeah, South Dakota must just suck, dude. I'm on like 45 days. I'm probably going to call the ATF on Monday. Let's see if I can get an update on it from them. Cody Fisher, 1X Precision for $20.
Honey, this is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on.
Says, what's up, you absolute degens? Remember, your morals are worth standing on. Christ is king, gentlemen. Christ is king. Thank you very much, Cody. Hope you're having a great night tonight. Good, sir. Thank you for the 20. Very generous. Jay Lewis for another 5. Says, has Richard told his heroic savior of a house fire, let me hear that shit? Well, hey, if you want to retell it real fast, give him 30-second version of it. Go.
Yeah, on my way to a Super Bowl party, looked up, there was a bunch of smoke pouring out of a house. I ran up, and right as I was getting ready to knock on the door, an old man opened the door, and he was terrified. And, hey, your house is on fire. We need to get everybody out. He said, my wife and my dogs are still inside. So we ran around back and got everybody out. And I didn't get bit, and I didn't get burnt, and everybody made it.
There you go. Doomer John for 5 says the number of holes in the ceiling at your average indoor range should arm everyone watching. The partitions between stalls, too. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of being in a condensed space with a bunch of other retards inside shooting a collection of random firearms. Not for me. Not for me. Like, listen, I know people are going to complain that range memberships are expensive, but that's the point, is that they keep out the undesirables. All right. Thank you, Doomer John. Appreciate that. Lightspore for 2 says, Richard, PFP, things I sent you. Lightspore, I'm glad you're not sending them to me because they're probably horse related, Lightspore. They're probably UMA related, if I had to guess. All right.
2 of them that are.
There's a lot of them. Oh, I could send you the one I made of Jake's feet the other day. Zanico for 5 says, Richard, you can use any load on my property. Zanico, try not to be gay. Challenge impossible. But thank you, Zany. Appreciate you. Kino Commando for 5 says, I shoot in negative 40 degree or colder weather simply to avoid the indoor range rigmarole. My local indoor range rents literal MGs, but bans FRTs. Shaking my head. Well, they ban the FRTs probably to maintain their MG business, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't have to rent their stuff. So they ban FRTs so that you have to buy theirs. Thank you, Kino Commander for 5. Call me Dave for 2 says, BK Firearms good to go. Looking for a decent fab upper. You mean FSB upper? B King Firearms is fine. You know, I buy their stuff sometimes. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Thank you, Call me Dave. Appreciate it. Ben for 5 says, Florida, come get your guy. True. Wouldn't that be a boring chase? Central Sands Defense. If you just have to follow an ambulance with a patient inside, so it's not like you can pit it. I mean, unless he's doing something insane. So you just like follow it until he stops or try and box him in, I guess, for like 30 minutes. You're like, oh, I gotta be in a high-speed chase. Let's go. And your high-speed chase is doing 30 miles an hour on a back road until you can stop the guy. Thank you, Central Sands Defense. Blue Animal for 2 says, Christ is king. My balloon knot continues to heal. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, Mr. Animal. We're all very concerned about your balloon knot. I hope you're able to sit. Oh my gosh. Oh, that horse is terrifying. That horse has seen some things, all right? That horse went to the glue factory and they sent him back.
He heard the joke, why the long face? He just started smiling.
Jay Lewis for 5 says, I carry a gun as a toolmaker spurg. As an EMT, I'd carry a flux appendix. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't. Obviously, regulation is probably no, but I would still be like, I'm carrying a gun. I don't care. Thank you, Jay Lewis. Those people are dangerous, all right? Lon Harichi for 5 says, why are we talking about Richard and his mental health issues in front of him? Because it's funny. Lon, because it's funny, all right? Why do we shoot women and their children? Because it's funny, Lon, all right? Because it's funny. Thank you. Kino Commander for 5 says, I'm an intensive care medic. You have no idea how often young scholars try to steal and rob the ambulance. Not my job to stop them, LOL. Well, the scholars have no sense of ceremony. Is nothing sacrosanct to these people? Nothing, right? They just steal from anybody they can. Wow. Thank you, Kino Commando. CM Scar for 5 says, God bless, Jesus is king. True. Mega based. Thank you, CM Scar. Lon Harichi says Trench is standing right next to Brandon. That's Trench's brother, all right? That's not actually Trench. Thank you, Lon. Appreciate it. Jim Eagle for 5 says, is there any mythical gun tube weapons, talking Excalibur tier weapons that gun tubers own? Anyone have anything particularly iconic like the Eagle Claw? I'm not a nerd about specific firearms, right? So like, I don't care if I have like General Patton's 1911. I don't really care, right? So I'm sure somebody out there does have some absolutely insane pull for a firearm card, but it's not my thing, I don't
I've
put
seen a particularly interesting Walther.
yeah. I don't put specific interest on like random objects that have no tie to me, right? I might put some sort of emotional investment in an item that has like true meaning to me and my family, but not to like somebody else. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Chud for 2 says, we love US labor, import 10 billion. I think you mean Israelis, but I think we should export 10 million.
No,
I think
said
that would
10
solve our
million
problems.
Indians, I think.
Is that, I don't know what, because StreamYards doesn't do the thing. Yeah.
But it says IN, so I'm going to guess India.
Well, but IN is also, or IL is the
IL
symbol
is-
that they use for the Israeli flag. So thank you, Chud. Sheep Herder for 5 says, the Jays to Prince Andrew. They expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. True. I had that clip pulled up. Jay Lewis says, restore Britain. We can hope so. Hope and pray. And I did say that quite some time ago, which is an easy prediction to make because everybody who claims like, oh, I predicted this years ago, it's because it's obvious, that it will not be the USA. That we will not be the first country to do what needs to be done. It will be a European country. I think that's a very safe bet. Thank you, Jay Lewis. Chud for 2 says, Israel tried, but I made it through another week. Bad news for Israel. I'm still alive. Thank you, Chud. Appreciate it. Moonman for 2 says $100 to undo more buttons. Nope, I'm cutting that off right now, Moonman. I will not be removing articles of clothing for money. That was a joke. All right, relax, Moonman. The offer is off the table. No buttons, no nothing. All right, Richard can. I'll whore out Richard. Myself, not so much. Thank you, Moonman.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I'll drop my Ko-Fi.
it. Drop your Ko-Fi for it. Well, you can do that on your own stream. How about that?
I would if people would subscribe to where I can get enough subscribers to actually go live. I was going to do that last week, and I got up to 35 subscribers, and then the next morning YouTube, I need 50 to go live, but I was up to 35, and then the next morning YouTube unsubscribed 15 people, like overnight.
Well, just DM me the link to your channel.
Will do.
All right, over on Ko-Fi, Sabardic Psycho for $20.
This a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is.
That video is 30 seconds long. I'm not going to play the full thing, but for $20. Sabardic Psycho says allowing evil to rule over us is disobedience to God. Is disobedience to God. I've got a bunch of millstones that would look great tied to a bunch of certain people and one big ocean to dump them into. Well, I mean, that is literally the purpose of millstones, right? They're a dual use item. You can use them to grind things up or attach to people deserving of it and send them to the bottom of the ocean. So allowing evil to rule over us is disobedience to God. In a way, sure, but we have to be very careful about how that actually gets applied, right? That doesn't give us carte blanche to do everything that we wish to do. Because a lot of that can be selfish. Josh Howard says, what happens when we get to the $10,000 goal? Listen, when we get to the $10,000 goal on Ko-Fi, which we're like 70% the way there, I think we just start a bar fight live on screen, or we, I don't know, we do something funny. We do something really funny. Pauly B.
Mutual combat.
Pauly B for 10 says, a couple people could be here, he thought. I've never been to this gun range before. There could be a couple people anywhere. The cool wind felt good against his bare chest. I hate a couple people, he thought. Yeah, a couple people. I hate a couple people. Thank you, Pauly B. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. And are we all cut up? I think we're all cut up. And remember, guys, we will be swapping over to Rumble in about an hour to go over things that revolve around items that we can't talk about on YouTube because YouTube is gay. All right. Son of Mandalore for 2 says, funny mustache man was right all along. Funny mustache man? Who are you talking about? Thank you, Son of Mandalore. Bandstay for 2 says, speaking of doing stuff for money, where is Jake? Jake, where are you? Jake is hopefully having a good Friday night. I think he's in chat. You can ask him. Caveman for 5 says, what's your EDC gun? A Glock 17 with the TLR1. It's very exciting. A ported Glock 17 with the TLR1. Thank you, Caveman. Appreciate it. Richard, what's your concealed carry gun?
I have a Glock 22, just a factory Glock 22.
Fair enough. AppTac USA for 5 says, thank you for the streams. They make the ride home after a long day of being culturally enriched and fatigued not so bad. Well, thank you very much, AppTac USA. I hope you're having a good drive home, bro. Stay safe out there, bro. It is a lot. All right. Well, here is the link to Richard's YouTube channel. If you want to follow Richard, just dropped it in the live chat over on Rumble, over on YouTube. Oh, I didn't realize we have almost 100 people on Rumble. People are making the switch already, and we still have 460 on YouTube, which means that this is actually a really good stream. This is excellent, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyways, back to Hopium. Let's go. So this is Restore Britain's Rupert Lowe, who came out with an absolute banger of a 6-minute statement going over his party's new plan, which is very much re-immigration centric. It is about getting rid of the non-British people. Now, they're never going to lay it out in a based way like we would appreciate, right? That's never going to happen. Somebody's, at least not yet, okay, but this is a stepping stone in the right direction. No serious political candidate is going to step out there and be like, we are deporting the Browns, right? Nobody's going to do that. Even still, while it would have more support now than it would in the past, it is still going to be a untenable public political position, right? Which is why I'm not going to run for office, because I would say very funny things, and it would be funny, but it would not go well for me. But Rupert has a very good plan outlining some of the keys here. All illegals deport, like obvious, of course. It's surprising that your country has to be so gay where that's not just the norm. Foreign criminals, obviously deport, like duh, obvious. Families who covered up grooming gangs, deport. Now, the covering up of grooming gangs, I think that might actually be worse in terms of volume of crimes than Epstein and all of his cohorts combined. Because just the volume of upwards of 500,000 British girls assaulted, raped, murdered in the UK should be grounds for grinding up an entire population that shouldn't be there, right? In my personal opinion, I think that that's a fair trade in some sort of cosmic justice sense.
Nope,
for what has
instead
happened
they'll just
there.
arrest Tommy Robinson for reporting on it outside of the courthouse.
Well, Tommy Robinson is a gay fed, but
Indeed.
migrants on welfare also deport, obviously, like just obviously. I wish we would have these policies here. Can't speak English, also deport immediately. Yes, you're not going to be here any longer. Get out right now. Never come back. This is common sense, not controversial. But here we'll let Mr. Rupert on the right-hand side, who has been decried as like the most evil fascist man of all time for being a generically nice British gentleman who happens to be a farmer, who happens to have almost no controversies in his past whatsoever. Too based for Nigel Farage that he had to make up a bunch of lies about him and kick him out of his own party. And he's like, you know what? Reform is brown and gay. We're going to be not that thing. And we're going to try to restore Britain and putting the British people first.
I have said, and I hold to this, first of all, I have said those people who arrive here legally, if the ECHR doesn't allow us to detain and deport them, I would send them to a Scottish island, give them a bowl of porridge and put them in a tent until they decided to go home and let the midges do the rest. I did say that, and I mean it.
All right. As a, Clan Campbell myself, I would appreciate you not deport these people to a Scottish island and defile a Scottish island with these people's presence, but I understand the point that you're making in jest.
However, I would detain and I would deport. Anyone arriving illegally, detain and deport. Anyone living here illegally, detain and deport. Anyone in our any criminals in our prisons who are foreign nationals, deport. And I said, and this was the issue between us, he tried to edit my speech in Northwest Essex, in Kemmy's constituency, it would have been end of January 25. People can watch it. I got a standing ovation at the end of it. And he got a little 24-year-old to tell me he didn't want me to use the expression mass when I was talking about deportation. He tried to take that word out, which I did agree.
Yeah, that sounds too scary. You can't use the word mass deportation, mass reimmigration. Listen, it doesn't matter, all right? They've accepted this tiny little country of the UK. How many people do they have? Like 40 million? 60 million people? Not a huge country, especially in comparison to the US. And they've accepted like 5 million immigrants over the last like 6 years alone. It's absolutely insane. It's destabilizing. They have colleges where the minority population is the majority, where like 60+% of people in education are no longer British, right? And they still refer to them as minorities somehow. All of these people have to leave. They don't have a right to your homeland. They have to be kicked out. It's just the normal policy, and it's the only way to save your country. It's the only way to restore Britain.
Agree to do, although I now hear Zia Yusuf talking about mass deportations. And then the second thing he asked me to do was to take out the clause where I said families of those people where a rapist is raping white underage English working class girls who've been groomed, if that family knew that that person was perpetrating that evil on those vulnerable young girls, if they were foreign nationals or dual nationals, I would deport them. I have never said whole communities of British passport holders should be deported.
See, and Rupert is like the most based option that they have for a serious political candidate, right? I think that the betting markets have switched behind Rupert, so I think that they are saying that Rupert will, with Restore Britain, of course, have a majority government in the next election cycle, which is because their elections are really weird. So even though Keir Starmer's polling at like single digits, I don't think there's another election for 1 year or 2 years, but he's already making huge dents in the polls and has great numbers in terms of his membership for the political party. So, I mean, if they can establish some sort of majority government beating out Labour, Tories, and Reform, then I think that they have a really good shot to actually enact some of these policies. And again, I don't know how possible it is to actually fix these countries within the current political framework, right? The UK, while we obviously say all the memes about it, which are true, of course, but they are actually in a demographically superior position than we are currently, right? So they have a higher position of power if they would only realize it. And so they have a higher possibility of actually reversing a lot of the damage. Whereas in the US, I mean, you know, where they might have 10 million people that need to be removed, we have 150 million people, right? It's not the same thing. It's simply not the same thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Have said is once we've done those things I've just outlined, we do need to start looking at those people who are on welfare, who've come here, who aren't contributing to our society, who don't speak English, and who effectively are going to be a burden to the taxpayer for the foreseeable future. And we should encourage them to leave. And that is what is happening at the moment in Sweden, David.
Indeed in Denmark.
In Denmark, in Sweden, in any country with a modicum of common sense or a modicum of interest in looking after the honest, decent, tax-paying citizens of those countries who are law-abiding and who care about their country. So let me be abundantly clear. You know me, I am not somebody who makes rash comments. And Nigel took not only my career out of context, he said I sued him, I never sued him. And at the end of the day, he is completely wrong in what he says about what my comments on deportation. So let's just get that absolutely clear.
Right.
And
I think
look, the state's going to come for me. They don't like what I'm saying, but I am intent on giving the British people an option to vote for something new.
So what's sad there is, again, his political position is relatively tame, right? He's saying, okay, well, if they're legally here and they're not a net burden to the tax code, then I'm fine with it, right? Which is like far to the left of my personal position. But that is the most extreme, the best option currently within the current political paradigm for the UK. And it's certainly better, right? Now, will he actually get into power? Will he be able to deport or remove the Boris wave and like 3 million people? Probably not, right? So while he might be better, I still don't think that there is a true political solution under our current paradigm. So while he'll certainly be better, he might, shift the needle in the proper way. I don't think he's going to be the guy the same way Trump was never going to be the guy. All right. Because these people aren't actually that guy. They're good people with good intentions, but they are not going to be willing to go far enough. And honestly, the populations aren't willing to go far enough, right? The people don't have a stomach for it. So even if there was some sort of political figure that had the right talking points, the people themselves are not yet at that point. And yeah, Poland is a little silly, but they definitely have the best demographic position as of right now. Other than the fact that they're Polish, right? Yikes, can't do anything about that one. Just kidding. It's all right, guys. Relax. I'm not going to pull Nick Fuentes and start Slav bashing, even though Nick is, not very white. Not very white. Now, talking about the UK being like mildly based, we also have to talk about the UK being rather cringe. So this is the Jamaica Constabulary Force seized in Kingston, Western Division. This is what used to be, I don't know, a 26? Do you think, Richard? Do you think this used to be a 26 at some point?
That's going to be my guess. Is maybe probably a 27 because 40 cal.
Is 40 cal popular in the UK?
Well, I'm just going to guess because of, the demographic.
Lives were saved. True. Titanic, Glock. Yeah, this is a dangerous weapon. Very dangerous. So law enforcement officers assigned to the Kingston Western Policing Division seized a prohibited firearm in Denham Town, Kingston, on Thursday, February 19th. So reports from the Denham Town Police are that at about midday, a team of officers conducted an operation on Milk Lane, which is British names, in the community, during which a firearm was found in a cellar. No one was arrested in connection with the seizure. The investigations are ongoing. Top comment, imagine you do 15 years for this. Yeah, they called it, what do they call it? A prohibited firearm. Now, this thing looks like it was stored in a toilet. Like in a toilet, all right, for like 15 years. The slide is rusted and corroded. I really doubt the frame is pulling away from the slide, so it's obviously warped in some way. So I wonder if it was exposed to some heat or if it's just water damage and shrinking. I have no idea if any of the springs are still functional on the inside of that thing. My guess would be maybe a couple of them are, right? The trigger components and other things. Well, actually, I take that back. It doesn't have any trigger components. There's nothing on the inside of that. So maybe it has a recoil spring installed, but maybe not even, because the takedown lever is not there, right? No magazine release, no takedown, no trigger, no FCU in the back, nothing, right? Like literally nothing on the inside of that. So this is a dangerous firearm taken off the streets. I wonder how this was acquired, Maybe somebody somewhere was able to steal a slide that was like, or like a frame that was taken apart for like armory maintenance purposes and then never put back together, right? They took spare parts from one to the other.
Because I think this could be one of those 8mm blank fires.
Yeah, maybe. That would actually make it even funnier. But if not, if it is a real firearm and somebody managed to just, steal a frame that was taken apart because they took the parts to use for something else, pocket that and walk out with it, and then piece together some of the other parts for like, over a course of a period of time, and then just left it in his cellar for like 15 years because he forgot about it and he was never going to be able to get the trigger and some of the other components to make it actually functional. Either way, the streets of Britain are safer now. The rape gangs are still there, but this firearm is not. All right. Now, before we get into, oh geez, before we get Oh, geez. Before we get into the black pilling, one funny little thing. All right. One funny little side tangent here. So, Shia LaBeouf, man, do you like the Transformers movies? Do you like Shia LaBeouf? Do you like Fury?
Fury was okay, but not because he was in it. The Transformers movies, the first one was all right when I was in, I think, high school when it came out. And Megan Fox was still attractive at that point. You know, she wasn't a total
What are you
whore.
talking about? She's still attractive, right? If you like plastic. It's insane how her
And
face shape has changed over the years.
Well, the ritualistic blood sacrifices and
Mhm.
shit that she's doing with her boyfriend now.
It's very Hollywood coded. It's normal. Have a good night, Frank.
But yeah, I've not been a big fan of Shia LaBeouf, although I did find it funny that when Steven Crowder found his He Will Not Divide Us stream and just crashed it and live streamed from Shia LaBeouf's stream for like 2 hours. That was funny.
Sean Weiland, Megan Fox has never been attractive. Never?
What was that? What was the name of that movie? Jennifer's Body?
I'm going to be real with you. I don't think I've ever seen Megan Fox outside of the Transformers films.
Yeah, she played essentially a succubus in Jennifer's Body.
Well, I mean, she has the personality for it. But anyways, Shia LaBeouf, who did recently, 2 years ago when he was playing Padre Pio for Mel Gibson, he did actually convert to Catholicism and have a bit of a redemption arc because there was the whole 2016 He Will Not Divide Us debacle. There was the I Am No Longer Famous publicity stunt where he had like this very obvious mental break. And it seems like he's repeating some of his antics, but he's just a very interesting character, and he's prone to these little outbursts, let's say. Okay, outbursts is probably a nice word for it.
I do remember the crash out from his DUI arrest.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that one. That was also good. So now the other day I don't know if you guys saw it, but he was partying a little too hard, doing a bar crawl during Mardi Gras, right? Which is, it's just degenerate nonsense, of course. But Catholics and drinking can't really be separated now, can they? However, there was reported that he got into a fight at a bar and then got arrested and detained outside. And what they're alleging here is essentially he got detained for using homophobic slurs, and that's what started the altercation. So drunk AF Shia LaBeouf in a random dive bar during Mardi Gras, calling somebody else our favorite little slur for the homosexuals, starts a fight, which is kind of based. Okay, it's actually kind of based. So funny little story, funny little add-on for that wacky little man who played that one guy that one time. All right, turns Catholic, becomes more based. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of pattern there to be noticing. Xbox Live Chat IRL, true. Drunk chat. Is it Shia? Would you just call him Shia? That's such a weird name, Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name is. But a little bit of a pattern there with Catholics and using silly little words. All right, now speaking of real slurs, all right, real troons, okay, real MiG-15 coded people. Real pedo-coded people. We talked about the Epsteins, who, of course, they deserve their own brand of millstone. And then these types of people who also deserve a separate but equal kind of millstone, if you're picking up my drift. And funnily enough, Jennifer's Body had 2 chicks make out in it. Probably the reason John never seen it. I'm gonna keep it real with you, dude. Like, I don't watch a lot of movies, especially modern movies. Like I really checked out probably after I turned 18. So the last time I went to go see like a new movie that I actually cared about was like maybe 2014. maybe 2015. And after that, everything just got like even more gay and gay and gay. So I'm not really interested in modern media. I mean, media's been gay since the 60s, right? Let's just be clear. It's all gay propaganda for the most part, with a few glaring exceptions. All right. But
Gay
to a normie's
propaganda
mind,
started in the late 40s.
right. But I mean, even to like a normie's mind, like the last few years have been exceptionally egregious.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well, JP. Anyways, these types of people, which transversely, for phrasing there, are also heavily funded by the Epstein types, by the Rothschilds types. Lots of financial investment going into these types of people pushing degenerate behaviors upon children, almost like they have nefarious purposes in mind for these children, and they don't actually care about them. They're merely tools for their perverted pleasures and satanic rituals. So this is a, unfortunately, Democratic politician in Minnesota. Let me pull up his real name. Trans Dem Minnesota. What's his name? Trans Democrat. It's like something Leaf or Lay or something like that. No, here it is. Lee Fink. Lee Fink over here. Again, you know, the patterns that you might be noticing here or there. Pay it no mind. Mr. Fink here is going to explain why your children need access to queer material, aka gay porn in sex education, at a very young age. Otherwise, they just won't know what they could be into, right? You're denying your children the opportunity to be gay, transgender communists, right? Aha.
You mentioned the Paxton case, and the AGs in many states are very clear about that. They're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational.
Yes, we should be jubilant. We should be overjoyed to protect young children's minds from your perverse, evil, satanic debauchery, your degenerate content, your evil propaganda, your filth, your, you know, MK Ultra-esque material designed to warp children's mind. Because remember, these people do not reproduce biologically. They reproduce socially. They reproduce through propaganda, right? They reproduce through more nefarious means, right? Not biologically. So they actually need access to your children to continue to populate, right? Well, his last name is literally Fink. So me thinks, yes. Me thinks, yes.
I just hope someone checks that man's hard drive.
Do we have a FAQ in chat? Who's the FAQ?
They are queer. And you are a principal. You have LGBT students in your school. And we also knew
no such thing as LGBTQ children, right? You have abusers and you have the abused, right? That's the only relationships that exist there, right? You have people that are propagandized by their parents, by their teachers, by their friends, who are, of course, in turn also propagandized by their parents, teachers, relatives, whatever it might be, that allows them to go down this pipeline, because there is no such thing as a transgender child. Just not real, only pedophiles and their enablers. That's it.
know that they're not receiving sex education for queer kids. We know that
Yep, you're right. Anyways, I'm going to go back to being jubilant about denying them the atrocity of allowing this degenerate evil into their minds, right? Yes, I do want to protect young people's minds from this degenerate material that you are trying to force upon children. So the Bible is very clear about this. Any one of you who were to make one of these children stumble, it would be better if you had a millstone tied around your neck and you were dropped in the ocean. All right. And that is literally what this person is advocating. He is advocating for underage children. It doesn't matter the age. He's arguing for children to have access to gay porn material, for queer sex education, for trans sex education, right? Teaching children, you can cut your dick off. You can't vote or drive or smoke or buy a gun, but you can cut your dick off at such a young age. You can start HRT as early as 13 years old in some places, right? Just a pedophile. Just a pedophile. That's all you are.
Prurient interest could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More and more people are saying there simply are no transgender kids.
Based, yes. There is no such thing as a transgender kid. Like, you're not transgender. You are a mockery of life. You had your body mutilated in order to pretend to be a woman, but this is just you. You are just playing pretend. You are now a mockery of life, a cruel inversion of what once was. You have a gaping wound where once was what God gave you, right? You are literally nothing but a science experiment, Mr. Fink. You are the perfect tool of the state, right? You're the perfect tool of the pharmaceutical industry. You will be hooked on their medicine for life and you will never get off. And at which point you feel like the ride is no longer worth riding, you will simply check out. Thank you, Mr. Fink. Thank you, Mr. Fink. Yeah, and it's just a fetish, right? It is just a fetish. It's just a man playing dress up. This is how he gets his rocks off, literally or metaphorically in this case. And they want access to children so that they can promulgate, right? That's it. That is how they reproduce, is through access to children, through public acceptance, through indoctrination, through subversion. That is the only way they can reproduce, because they cannot do it as God intended. So they will continue to move in the most evil ways possible, which is going to be access to children. You know, it's weird. These types of people never want access to old folks' homes, right? They don't want to have gay, drag queen, trans story hour in a retirement home, in an old folks' home. It's really only children. That's really weird. It's really only children. Huh. That's quite strange. And as Jonathan Glibber-Picone says, trauma replicates trauma. Yeah. No, these people were propagandized and they were led down this horrible, horrifying pathway. And their pathway to acceptance is to make everybody as ugly as they are, right? If everybody's as sick as I am, then I'm no longer sick. If everyone's as disgusting as I am, then I'm no longer ugly, hideous, right? When these people literally have an aversion to beauty, right? And you see this in our architecture, you see this in our culture, you see this everywhere. The fat, obese ogre hating on the beautiful girl, hating on the beautiful architecture, right? Whatever it might be. These people hate beauty because they are a mockery of it. And anything that is beautiful, anything that is good, anything that is pure, like children, the most pure, of course, they want to defile that and make it ugly and hideous, just like them. Oh, and they're also insane, by the way. Also insane. Tough pill to swallow. Well, not for us, of course. But, you know, ICE has only killed 2 people this year. It's really low. It's really, really low. I think transgender individuals are up to like 46. So ICE has really got to pick up the pace. I think ICE needs to like double their efforts, quintuple their efforts. All right. They're getting absolutely BTFO'd by the trans community in terms of violence. Like, let's be real. Like, ICE is pathetic. All right. If this was the Olympics, you wouldn't even be getting a bronze medal here, ICE. All right. You need to start sliming out a lot more people. Let's get on it. All right. If the trannies are beating you out, you got to do more. Got to do more. Anyways, here's a normal man interacting with a street preacher. Now, I think that this street preacher is probably a little bit cringe if you look into his denomination, some of the things that they believe. A lot of them are also weird as well, but I do appreciate him, being out there and standing strong for what he believes. And I think there is something admirable about that, even if the, denomination is a little wacky. All right.
He made the man to be a man. He didn't make the woman to be a man. He made the woman to be a woman. And this is the truth. What are you going to do? Come attack me now? I should.
That is a man dressed up as a woman, because again, this is fetished. This is weird, obnoxious kink that they're into. And yeah, he literally pulls out a firearm from his purse, points it at the street preacher's head. Now it's blurred, so hopefully I can show this on YouTube without getting pee-pee slapped before we transfer over to Rumble. But no, yeah, just normal, sane behavior. Very normal, very sane. Wow. You're totally acting very feminine right now, or maybe you're having a very male-coded aggression moment. This is very male-coded of you, all right?
A woman. And this is the truth. What are you going to do? Come attack me now? I should. Hey, man, that's up to you. If you want to pull that.
Now, maybe it was male-coded to be so aggressive, but maybe it was female-coded to not finish, right? To not follow through, to chicken out at the last moment, all right?
I should. Hey, man, that's up to you. If you want to pull that. Look,
the guy's got balls, by the way, after you get a gun pointed in your face to be like, hey, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one in the white hair.
Well, ironically, they both have balls, right?
God bless
Chill
you.
out, bro.
So you just threatened me with a gun. You just pulled a gun on my face. Man, Lord have mercy on you. This means that you don't even know who you are.
True. There is that mental health thing. It's like, listen, if you don't accept my illness, I'm going to kill you. It's like, all right. Do you have to do that? I feel like there's another option here. Like, we don't have to go down this pipeline, okay? Like, I feel like there's a more reasonable middle ground here, all right? Maybe we should check you into an asylum, get you a little bit of help, unplug you from your degenerate social media networks that have convinced you to live this way. Because again, it's almost like a hive mind at some point with these trannies, the way they work. But here's just a funny one, all right? Mr. Suck Deep, an illegal immigrant from the third world and an Indian, kills 4 people in Indiana. Wow, that was my nickname in college. All right, lady. All right, yeah, but Mr. Suck Deep,
dude.
Probably, dude. Yeah, the many such cases on Reddit. Thank you, Mr. Checks Notes. Hitler loved Christ. Indians are a high human capital. I love X. X is a wacky place, all right? X is a very interesting place with lots of the best people possible. And a driver responsible for fatal crash in Hendricks County detained by ICE. A truck driver accused of causing a fatal crash in Hendricks County is now in federal custody after being detained by ICE, according to multiple law enforcement sources. Around noon on Wednesday along US 36, witness claims the driver of a semi-truck made a fatal mistake and slammed into the side of a white pickup. He went through the intersection, hit the electric truck that was driving through, said one witness, Kate Breedlove, which is also a funny name. We have Suck Dick and Breedlove. All right. Whoever's writing these articles, you're being a little too on the nose. And Breedlove just narrowly missed being hit and quickly ran to check on the victim in the pickup. She and other witnesses told police the suspect ran a red light driving eastbound through the intersection when he crashed into the victim, who was heading north. I think there was a lot of chaos going on, and I made it my job to be calming him, said Breedlove. Breedlove recalled trying to comfort 64-year-old Terry Schultz before he died on the scene. I was just telling him everything was going to be okay. He was unresponsive, but at some point, I think he definitely took his last breath, said Breedlove. The driver of the semi-truck, 24-year-old Suck Deep Singh, was handcuffed and taken into custody by state police. I feel like
executed on the side of the road.
Executed on the spot. Absolutely. I feel like the trucking industry specifically, and really all of the industries that utilize illegal labor, utilize Indian labor of any sort, legal or illegal, honestly, any H-1B programs, in a just society, not only would the workers themselves be deported or otherwise dealt with, but all of the leadership teams should also be charged with all of the crimes associated with their workers. So whoever runs this trucking company, whoever is the CEO, any of the high level employees plus the hiring managers, all need to be brought up on the exact same charges, right? Exactly 0 of these people should be on my roads. Exactly 0 of these people should have access to machines that could kill my family. They all, again, need to be deported or otherwise dealt with.
Yeah, I do agree that the HR and CEOs and people involved with this should be charged as accomplices to those four murders.
Every single person involved in the chain, from the CEO down to the hiring manager, needs to be arrested and charged with the exact same crimes, because you know what? Mr. Terry Schultz, who had a family, who had lived his life, doesn't get to go home to his family, and I feel like you deserve the same, Mr. Suck Deep, and the rest of the people involved here.
What I don't understand is how so many of them are getting hired that don't even speak English. I spoke to somebody who works in a
It's
trucker
because it's
dispatch.
cheaper. They don't care.
Well, I mean, you have to at least be able to communicate where you're going and what you're hauling, right? And then I asked somebody who works in trucker dispatch. They said, yeah, all communications are done via text now because they can translate it. They translate it on their phone. So they're giving out all orders via text now.
Somebody says, I think Orlando says, I think Greenland is away. Or wait, no, sorry. Who said it? Bushmaster says, purchase Greenland and make it a penal colony. I don't need a penal colony. I don't think that's necessary. Not needed. Thanks, though. How many times U.S. Senator Jim Banks added this statement? How many times are we going to see the same story happen again? This is not bad luck. This is not just another accident. This is a national crisis, and I am sick of it. Yes. One of these people injuring any of ours should be subject for immediate termination. We need real accountability and a major overhaul. I'm calling on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to investigate chameleon carrier networks in Indiana, and will be introducing legislation to get unsafe, illegal drivers off our road before another life is lost and another family destroyed. Yeah, I want 0 of these people in my country on my roads. I want exactly 0. 0 is the correct number. You can't speak my language. You're not American. You're not from here. You have no right to take American money, American jobs, and American lives. Get out. Never come back. In fact, I'm not even going to give you the option to get out anymore. That option's actually off the table. Sorry, Mr. Suck Deep. Damn. Well, I mean, I would say it's going to get better, but it's actually not. All right, we got 3 more, or do I call it and move over to Rumble real fast? That's the real question. I think we might end it there and then move over to Rumble so I can use more nefarious language. But anyways, let's see here. I am going to drop the Rumble link in the YouTube chat. You guys should all follow us over to Rumble because we're having a great time. We're going to continue to have a great time. Don't you worry. But let me get to you guys first. Chud McGill for 2 says there's a white ball with a check mark and some different colored balls that should be deported. Okay, fair enough. That's a great pool strategy. It's pretty simple. Thank you, Chud. Caveman for 2 says Megan has toe thumbs. Am I confused? Like, what is going on here with Megan Fox? I'm going to Google Megan Fox thumbs. I saw that this argument raging in the chat.
So I've seen somebody that had taken a picture of her in like open-toed heels, and she's got like finger toes is what they were talking about. But I'll be honest, dog. I don't care about her feet. That's the last thing I'm going to look at.
It's a very Jake-coded thing. Are those really that odd? Those are odd. They're a little fat. They're a little short. Which one of you guys is looking at her thumbs? Yeah, on her toe thumbs. Yeah.
I was talking about her feet because her feet are all jacked up too, apparently. But again, I didn't care what, 16, 17?
No middle
Didn't care.
knuckle. No, it's there. It's just really small. You know, like, I don't know. I have a middle knuckle. I have normal thumbs. Hers are just really short. She has really short, like, I don't know what the tip part is. Thanks, Cape Man. Appreciate that. Samurai Boy for 2 says, have you seen 13 Hours? Yeah, I did watch 13 Hours with John Krasinski, and it's also a Michael Bay film, I want to say. I saw that. I actually saw that in theaters. When did that come out? Like 2016? Thank you, Samurai Boy. Samurai Boy again for 5 says, the AI is picking up on all my references. Gonna have to switch to Ko-Fi for all my topical comments. Yeah, I mean, you might as well too. I get there's a better cut on it too, so you can pay less and I get more. It works out great. Thank you, Samurai Boy. Appreciate it, sir. Central Sands Defense for 5 says, had a snowstorm here today, dozens of semi-crushes and slide-offs, all foreigners with little English. Yeah, the trucking companies need to SDFU and have a complete audit of all of their employees. Like, we're getting rid of all of them, and we're removing the trucking industry from existence and rebuilding it from scratch. Yeah. Short-term pains, blah, 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 riots, no food in the inner cities. That's a good thing, by the way. But anyways, we'll come out the other side much stronger, I assure you. Thank you, Central Sands Defense. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you much. All right. Well, with that, and talking about Megan Fox's thumbs, which I think she has normal thumbs, all right? She has very normal, very average thumbs. We are going to transition to, poor phrase there. We're going to transition to Rumble only, gentlemen. All right. So with that out of the way, thank you to everybody watching on YouTube. At least 2 hours on here. I think we're always going to do at least 2 hours on YouTube and then head over to Rumble afterwards. But with that out of the way, God bless and Godspeed to all of you fine gentlemen who don't follow us over to Rumble. We still love you anyways, but I mean, come on.